Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Love Lighthouse podcast. Okay, today, 3 things to radically shift your marriage or relationship. Okay, relationships are difficult. Do you think that? Do you feel me? Some people say, "Oh, they're easy." No, they're not. They're lying. They're full of it. They're difficult. I believe they are the hardest thing for us to master as humans because we are bringing a lot of stuff together into a relationship. When people talk about baggage, they say, oh, if you've been married and have children, that's baggage. That's not what I call baggage. I call those blessings because they can be blessings. They can be life lessons. They can be gems of wisdom that people have learned from their experiences. And then, of course, children are a blessing. And so I don't call that baggage. But what is baggage, and we all have it, that is we're bringing all of our stuff. So if you think about this, if you think of bringing 2 people with all of their, however many years of programming, whether it's, getting married at 20, 30, sometimes 40, or later, then you're bringing all of that stuff that has happened in your life. And then your partner has their stuff and you're bringing that together. And most people don't even understand themselves, let alone understand what their partner is doing or why they do the things they do or feel the way they feel. We don't even understand that about ourselves. So they are complicated. But there are some really simple key things that we can do that make huge, huge differences that will just blow your mind when you start to work with them. So when I talk about these principles, there's 3 of them, really simple, straight to the point, but I want to give a little side note here. Sometimes people are in a relationship that is very very challenging, also abusive, and maybe they are with a person that has a very low consciousness that is truly here to play the shadow side in life, and they have shut off emotions and they don't care. That could be. I hope that's not you, but if it is you, then I want you to look at that, and at that point, removing yourself from that relationship is going to be your best option. Okay. I'm not a person that believes that marriage is meant to be forever. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you got into a relationship and it is really painful and you're suffering and you're being abused mentally, emotionally, physically, however, right? I have been in a relationship before with someone that I believe was a very low consciousness and shut off from their feelings. No amount of stuff that I was going to do was going to change the way that he was showing up. So with that being said, these principles that I'm going to tell you, these three simple steps are going to work with pretty much everyone unless you are with a true narcissist. Now, how do you know whether you're with a narcissist? A lot of people throw that word around whenever they get upset or get hurt by someone. They go, "Oh, he's a narcissist," or "She's a narcissist." I don't think most of the time they really are. I think most of the time they're a wounded child in an adult's body. But the way that you can, I could do a whole episode on figuring out whether that person is of a low consciousness or, and showing up as the shadow side, a true narcissist or not. But we're not going to go so much into that. I'll just give you a really simple way to really see your partner. Step back, step out of your own pain, your own hurt feelings, and observe that person. How do they show up in their life? Are they honest in their dealings? Do they have friendships? Do they care about their family? Do they care about other people in their life? Do they care about certain causes, the planet, something more than themselves. Okay. That doesn't mean they all have to care about all of those things. Maybe some of them, they just don't know about those, like the different information with the planet or stuff like that. I'm just saying, step back, look at them. How does that person show up? It's not about them being perfect, but do they care about other things outside of themselves? That's a good indicator that it's easy to see that they're a wounded child in an adult's body. I get so excited talking about relationships that I start talking really fast because they really are exciting to me. This was such a place of suffering for me in my life, and now they are my greatest joy, particularly my intimate relationship, my marriage with my husband. And so I do get excited because I love working with couples. I love seeing people's marriages and relationships heal, because I know that once that happens, that it takes your life to a whole new level. Someone can have all the money in the world, all the, fame or supposed success, but if they don't have connection, deep relationships, those people that are there for them when they're down, and that they can be there for other people when they're down, that place to serve, to be vulnerable, then life isn't really great. No matter how many bells and whistles you have, it's just not. So here we go. Number 1, be clear with your wants, needs, and expectations. Okay. Now, yesterday was Father's Day. You guys are going to love me for this one, and you're welcome. You're going to say thank you to me for this one. But ladies, stop with the silent treatment. Okay. It's not helping anyone. And it is really, really hurting your relationship more than you know, and yourself. Okay. So a lot of ladies end up thinking, gosh, my husband should just know what I want. He should know what I need. He should know what's upsetting me. Well, sorry, ladies, most of the time they don't know. They really don't know. Women are usually wired to be more intuitive than men. Not always, but I'm saying most of the time. And so they can pick up on more things, and men are very task oriented or oriented like with what's in front of them. And so, don't expect your spouse to know what you want. Be very clear, especially in the beginning of a relationship. I remember I used to do this, and I used to be like, why doesn't, my husband understand me? Or I'm sure he felt the same way, right? Because women do this too. But I know we get our feelings hurt, and then we get quiet, we shut down, and we just sulk, right? And your spouse or your partner will say, hey, what's wrong? Nothing. When they know clearly there's something wrong. Okay, the jig is up. You're not fooling anyone. So be clear. Tell your partner what you want. Tell them what you like. Tell them what matters to you. A really, really good one for this to read and learn about is The 5 Love Languages. That book is timeless. It came out many years ago, and it's so good because it helps you really stop and look at your partner and learn, like, who is this person that I have chose to spend my life with? How do they tick? How do they roll? What are their hot buttons? What makes them more than anything? What makes them feel loved? And to stop, slow down, and actually take the time to learn that about your partner. I apply this to children as well. If you've got 4 children and you parent the way that you are, the way that you feel like you've got a set of rules and you're like, this is how I roll, it's going to be a disaster, because your children are all unique. They all have their own unique needs, wants, desires, their own ways that they feel loved, their own ways that they react to discipline. And so if you just have a one size fits all plan according to what you think and expect them to just get whipped around with you, then it's not going to be very good. There's going to be a lot of damage there. So taking the time to slow down and learn number one, who's your partner? Who are they? How do they roll in life? What matters to them? And number two, who are your children and what matters to them? I know there's so many people in this world. You can't figure that out with everyone. You can't know that about all your clients, your bosses, your friends, your neighbors, but take the time to slow down and get to know your key people, which is your spouse, your partner, your lifelong partner, and your children. And if you do that, you will have fabulous relationships and your life will be fabulous in turn. So yes, don't expect them to read your mind. Tell them what you want. I had an experience one time where my children were really little. I had 2 teens at the time and 2 toddlers. So life was super crazy. And my husband worked full time and I was home with our children for 4 years with the 2 younger ones. And it was awesome. I loved every minute of it. Well, maybe not every minute, but I loved most of it. but there was one day where I was studying feng shui and I had been studying feng shui for a while. And there was one day where I was like, I have got to tackle the master closet because it was such a mess. And I would get up and go into my closet and start my day with, this is so messy, like going in there to get dressed and start my day. It was like, it's a disaster in here that you can't find things because there's so much stuff in here. And it just needed a whole revamp. And because I had been studying feng shui, I recognized how that was affecting me. The energy of my closet was affecting me before I even started my day. So even though it was not an easy feat to tackle my master bedroom closet, it was an all-day project with 2 toddlers. I did it. I spent all day, I pulled everything out. I cleared hours and hours worth of work. And meanwhile, the kids are playing and I'm getting them lunch and then going back in and tackling the closet. But my husband called and he said, "Hey, what are you doing, honey?" Just to check in. And I said, "I am cleaning our closet. And I'm spending a lot of time. And today, when you get home, I want to hear about it. I want to hear that you notice." And it was kind of just a joke, but he was like, okay, honey, sure, whatever. So he gets home, he goes into the closet and he just starts, whoa, oh my gosh, this is amazing. He was making fun of me, really, but we had a good laugh and it was a moment that I remember because I told him what I wanted. Most likely he would come home and not even say anything because it's like, okay, the closet looks good, but does that really matter to him? And so, and did he know how much time I spent on it? But what that did was, number one, I was being playful about it. I wasn't mad. I was obviously just joking around with him. But number two, it helped plant seeds with him because I was doing it in a playful manner. And because I verbalized clearly that it mattered to me that I spent this time on the house in the closet and I wanted him to notice. Now it's like, okay, check, that matters to her. And so most likely in the future, when I tackle the kitchen pantry and other projects in the house, he's going to be more likely to notice than not, because I've now set that precedent and I've now planted those seeds. So just be playful, and you don't need to, when I say be clear with what your wants, needs, and expectations are, most likely, I'm hoping you don't do that in the heat of the moment, okay? I mean, in a playful manner, when you're not upset, when you are, you've just made love and you're laying in bed and you're like, "Hey, honey, let's talk about this. And I really want you to start checking in with me at the end of the night, or telling, I really want us to go over our finances or whatever it is, but not when you are in a fight. That's what most people do, is they don't talk. They shut down their beautiful voice. They have that throat chakra. They shut that down, and they just expect their spouse to know what they want. And then when they don't, they start to stew, and then it gets so hyped up that then they blow, and then they just go, you don't do this and you don't do that. So let's stop doing that, because it's really not fair, because we all think differently. And one thing will matter to your partner that doesn't matter to you, and vice versa. So be clear. Here's a big one, ladies. Okay. Father's Day, or Mother's Day, more like, your birthday, your anniversary, those moments that so many times I see women get upset because their husband drops the ball, right? So be clear. What do you like? What do you want? What matters to you? Be clear about that. See, in his mind, maybe he thinks, okay, I'm going to give her a massage and I'm going to spend time with her, okay, for Mother's Day. And so he does that. But in your mind, you're like, he didn't get me a card. He never told me how great I am as a mom. And now my feelings are hurt. Well, maybe it didn't matter to him because he doesn't know, because that's not how he rolls. That's not how he thinks. So telling him, hey, honey, I love a good card. It makes me feel so special. And you don't do this on Mother's Day, right? Or the day before Mother's Day. You tell him, when you're not, it's not the week before. I mean, you could, but I'm just saying generally, like, you tell them, you don't wait for them to hurt your feelings, damage your feelings. You just tell them when it's, an average day, an average Monday, you tell them, hey, I want you to know that this matters to me. And then you ask them. Now that's a radical thought. What matters to you? What is your favorite? What is your favorite way to feel special on Father's Day or on your birthday? Okay, because to them, maybe theirs will be, I love when you spend time with me, or I love when you get my favorite kind of beer, or I love when you cook my favorite meal. That's one thing that I do for my husband. I go and I cook his favorite food, which is Tongan food. And I do it like maybe twice a year because it's a labor of love. I have to go to the special market. It takes pretty much all day to cook this food. And it's something that is really special because he knows that I'm doing that specifically for him. Okay. I didn't even know how to cook Tongan food. I had to learn. I had to be mentored by my darling niece who's married to a Tongan. And I was like, hey, can you help me out here? Because I don't know anything about cooking Tongan food. So find out those things that matter to them and then verbalize what matters to you. It will make a huge difference, I promise you. Okay, number 2, massive, I want you to practice massive appreciation for your partner. Now, this one, I cannot even stress to you the game changer that this will do for your relationship. I call it being on the platform of gratitude versus the mountain of criticism. If you're on a mountain of criticism where you're mounting all of these things that you can't stand about your partner and all the things that they do that hurt you or that just get under your skin, then guess what? Guess what happens? Every single time they hop over there with you. And so now you're both on that mountain trying to scale this mountain, and it is rugged, it is ragged, it is treacherous. And you're both criticizing each other and you're trying to climb this mountain in your relationship. And guess what? You can only hang on for so long before you fall off that mountain. You cannot stay on a mountain of criticism. I mean, I guess you could, but that would equal hell, a life of hell for sure. But you, it's just like a never ending mountain you are trying to climb, and it is misery. I see this with some couples that I look around and I'm like, I love these people. They're amazing people, but they have gotten over on that mountain of criticism, and they're both there and they're criticizing each other back and forth, back and forth. You know someone like that. I know you do. Like, think of some couple that you're like, wow, I love her, I love him, and I love them, right? Him and him, or her and her, whatever couples. And they don't see, they somehow have gotten in this pattern, and they don't see those things about each other that they appreciate anymore. They are in a space of criticism. And let's face it, we all criticize our partner. So I am not saying to never criticize your partner. That's not reality. We all do that. Okay. But majority rules. So I want you to think of it like this. Like, if, 95% of the time you are in a space of gratitude and appreciation, or even 80% or 90%. So 80+% you're in gratitude and what you appreciate about your partner, and 5 to 20% you're in criticism, then you're going to have a pretty great relationship. I would say more than 90% rule, right? But if that's flopped, which often it is in a relationship, then it is going to be misery. So getting on that platform of gratitude. Now, think of a platform where you're equal, you're both on this platform, and it's so much more comfortable and joyful than trying to scale this treacherous mountain. You're on this platform of gratitude, living your life, and you're seeing those things in your partner that you love, that you respect, that you appreciate. There better be some things, because if you can't find anything, then why are you there, right? Why are you with them? So blow up those things that you appreciate, and the more you blow those up, the quieter the criticism gets. And because you are a creator, you start to attract more things to come in that you appreciate about them. So this one is so important, and you gotta start right now, okay? Because honestly, the longer someone is on that mountain of criticism, the harder to get off. And so building that platform of gratitude, just think of simple things. What does your partner do? What do you love about them? Think of, like, maybe it's, hey, they make me coffee in the morning, and that I appreciate that. Or I appreciate that they go to work every day and help contribute to the family. Or I appreciate that they care about our kids eating healthy food. Like, it could be, anything, but the more you get in that space, it's like those magnets, like attracts like. So the more you start to think about the things that you're criticizing, you're going to get more of that. The more you think of those things you appreciate, you're going to get more of that. And so you can tip those scales, that 90-10% scale, to where now you're living on that platform of gratitude in your relationship, and it is so much more joyful. And that's what life's about, right? Because if you are living in misery, what's the point? So there better be some things, because if you say, well, Jen, I can't think of anything. He's this, he's that, or she's this, she's that. It's like, well, my question to you is, well, then what are you doing? Why are you there? What the heck? What? And don't give me that excuse that you're going to say, well, for the kids. Well, wait a minute. Is that your kids are living under that umbrella? So they're bathing in criticism right there with you, and that is not benefiting them. So you got the power, you can change it. I know you can. You're the goddess of the home, or the king of the home, right? And you can shift this. You totally can. And for the men listening, there are things about your lady that you appreciate as well as the ladies. So as the ladies listening, because we all do this, right? So get in that space. And the more you're there, the easier it becomes, because you will literally, you're changing your habits and you're hardwired. If you're living on that mountain of criticism, it's just a habit. Because what attracted you to that person in the first place? It did not start on that mountain of criticism, or you would have never gotten married. You would have never gone to date 2 or 3 or 4. So what is it that you love about them? Now, here's something that's super interesting and really crazy. And when I say it, you're going to be like, what? Really? Yes. Okay. The same things, often the same things that attracted you to your partner end up being that double-edged sword that you end up despising about them and criticizing them for. What do I mean by that? So I will use this one couple as an example. This guy, he's an introvert. He's more quiet, likes to be home. Girl, very extroverted woman, right? She loves to go and be funny and playful and party and have lots of people around. And he was attracted to that. He loved that about her because he didn't have that. He was more introverted. And so he loved this about her. She was interesting to him. So they get married. They have a lot of passion in their marriage. They have children and they build a life together. And they have a great life for a while. But then as life starts to get, tricky and heavy and the mundane sets in, they got on that mountain of criticism, and he started hating that she was social, that she wanted to go out, that she was, always wanting to be the life of the party, that she wanted to have big parties at their house. Like, he hated that. And she liked that he was stable and that more solid presence in the beginning because he helped ground her. And she liked that. But then the more he grounded, right? Isn't that interesting? Grounding as in grounding your energy, and then grounding as in a punishment. They mean the same thing. Well, he started to ground her. You better stay home. You better stay home. You better stay home. Like he was her father. And she ended up resenting him for that. So think about your partner. What are those things that you really loved about them? And maybe now you start to criticize them for, and it bugs you. Think about that. Okay, last one, number 3. Utilize positive expectation. Okay, this is a biggie. Okay, we get in a place of expecting our partner to piss us off, or expecting them to do something that is going to, we're just sitting there waiting and watching. Okay. It's like, I know he's going to come in and he's going to be in a bad mood, or I know she's going to come in and she's going to have all these shopping bags from the mall, or whatever it is that you are expecting that is negative expectation. Well, let's start to change that around. I do this with my husband sometimes. I expect my husband to do something to piss me off, and guess what? Voila, surely it happens. Shh, don't tell him. Just kidding. I'm sure I do things that piss him off too. But when you start to recognize that you're doing that, when you're driving down the road and you start to recognize that you're thinking about your partner and you're going, oh, I bet he's going to do this, or I bet she's going to do that, and you see that it's a negative expectation, stop, course correct, realize you're on the wrong road, right? Course correct, and get back on that road of positive expectation of, hey, what do you want to see instead? Because here's the truth. Whether you realize it or not, you are a powerful creator. And what you are thinking, saying, visualizing, feeling, and believing is going out into a pathway. You got that invisible projector right there on your forehead. and you're the director of your movie. So many times in personal growth, I'll listen to other people that talk about manifesting, law of attraction, and they say you can't manifest for other people. I don't know if I agree with that. Okay, I do and I don't, because I get that. I can't like manifest that my neighbor down the street is going to marry someone. Okay, X, Y, and Z, like Joe or Mary or whoever, right? Not that I would even care about that, but when I'm the director of my movie, and so are you. So you have starring roles in your life, such as those people that are key in your life. They're there on a normal basis, and you're the director and you're giving them a script. How are they going to show up in your life? And so if you want them to show up in a different way, you have to change that movie, and you have to start projecting out a new script for them, because that's the message they're getting, and that's what you're calling it, is them saying and acting and feeling and being a certain way in your movie. Now, I was just talking to someone this last week about this, and I was explaining this to him, and I was like, hey, you're the director, and you want to give your wife a different script. And he says, well, wait a minute, isn't that manipulative? And I'm like, okay, you're giving her a script anyways. So you're going to either give her a script where she shows up sad or where she shows up happy. So which, like, there's no manipulation here in that sense. It's like, it'd be even more manipulating, I think, if you were wanting to make her sad and she's happy. So the fact that I'm telling him to have positive expectation of her being happy is not manipulative. It is actually a beautiful thing, because it can help support her even more in her life, right? So stop yourself, get on the right track, and start to expect that positive expectation, start to utilize that positive expectation. And here's the ways that you do it: is you just, you visualize, or when you notice that you're just thinking a certain way, you can change it. That's it. Because we are always creating every second, every minute of every day, whether you realize it or not. So that's it, my loves. Now, this is not about perfection. It's not about trying to be perfect in our lives. It's about progression, not perfection, progression. So I want to invite you, if you have not checked into my Awaken group, this is something that we do every Friday. We have a call. It's a group that we get on together, and you can either be on live or watch the replay, listen to the replay. It's a group coaching program that I created so that we could go into these things on a normal basis, because these things that I've told you today, you're gonna get bits and pieces of them. And maybe years later, or maybe now, you're going to start to utilize a little bit of it. But years later, you're going to only remember maybe one thing, maybe two things. I don't know. But it's going to be a small portion of this whole segment. And so the most important key to everlasting progression, to keep progressing in life, is that consistency, to do it layer by layer, week after week, day after day. And so that's why I created that program. So click the link, come join me. I'd love to have you in that group. It's very affordable. I created it for people to be able to get in there and support them in their personal growth on a regular basis. So it's very, very affordable. So anyways, thanks for being here today. I can't wait to hear about all the beautiful shifts that you create in your life. So I love to hear those stories. So reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, message me, let me know when you start to practice these 3 powerful tips, what happens in your life. Okay, much love to you all. Have a fabulous week.